Good morning, friends. Today's talk we are taking up from Swamiji's Complete Works, Volume 2, part of Jnana Yoga. The topic is God in Everything. This was the lecture delivered by Swamiji in London on 27th of October 1896. This lecture preceded by three important lectures on Maya, that is Maya and illusion, Maya and the evolution of the conception of God, and the third in series Maya and freedom, followed by the absolute and manifestation. Once you go through this four and then come to this lecture by Swamiji, God in Everything, it is a culmination of very interesting proposition. Here Swami is talking about things which most of us, we keep on either discussing or facing or talking and trying to find a remedy. Let us see what Swami is talking. Swami is saying, we have seen how the greater portion of our life must of necessity be filled with evils, however we may resist, and that this mass of evil is practically almost infinite for us. We have been struggling to remedy this since the beginning of time, yet everything remains very much the same. The more we discover remedies, the more we find ourselves beset by subtler evils. That means it is not decreasing, but it's increasing more and more. We also seen that all religions propose a God as the way one can think of escaping these little difficulties. And in fact, all religions tells us that if you take the world as it is, as most practical people would advise us to do this in this current age, then nothing would be left to us but evil. This life in the five senses, this life in the material world, is not all. It is just a small portion and merely superficial. Behind and beyond this life is the infinite in which there is no more evil. Some people call it God, some Allah, some Jehovah, Job, and etc. etc. In Vedanta, they call it Brahman. The first impression we get of this advice given by the religion is that we had better terminate our existence. To the question how to cure the evils of life, the answer apparently is give up life. Swamiji is giving a very interesting story on reminding this. A mosquito settled on the head of a man, and a friend, wishing to kill the mosquito, gave it such a blow that he killed both the man and the mosquito. The remedy of evil seems to suggest a similar course of action. Life is full of ills. The world is full of evils. That is a fact no one who is old enough to know the world can deny. So, what is the remedy proposed by all these religions? That this world is nothing. Beyond this world is something which is very real. Hence comes the difficulty. The remedy seems to destroy everything. How can that be a remedy? Is there no way out then? Swamiji is telling, the Vedanta says that what all the religions advance is perfectly true, but it should be properly understood. Often it is misunderstood because the religions are not very clear in their meaning. What we really want is head and heart combined. The heart is great indeed. It is through the heart that come the great inspirations of our life. Swamiji is saying, I would 100 times rather leave a little heart and no brain than be all brains and no heart. Life is possible, progress is possible for him who has heart, but he who has no heart and only brain dies of dryness. At the same time, we know that he who is carried along by his heart alone has to undergo many ills. Wonderfully, Swamiji is telling that, giving the solution. The combination of heart and head is what we want. Swamiji is saying, I do not mean that a man should compromise his heart for his brain or vice versa, but let everyone have an infinite amount of heart and feeling, and at the same time an infinite amount of reason. Is there any limit to what we want in this world? Is not the world infinite? There is room for an infinite amount of feeling, and so also for an infinite amount of culture and reason. Let them come together without limit. Let them be running together as it were in parallel lines each with the other. It's a wonderful solution for the problem. Swami is saying, most of the religions understand the fact, but the error into which they all seem to fall is the same. They are carried away by the heart, the feelings. There is evil in the world. Give up the world. That is the great teaching and the only teaching, no doubt. Give up the world. There cannot be two opinions that to understand the truth, every one of us to give up the error. There cannot be two opinions that every one of us, in order to have good, must give up the evil. There cannot be two opinions that every one of us have life, must give up what is death. The solution Swamiji is giving. And yet, what remains to us, if this theory involves giving up the life of the senses, life as we know it, and what else do we mean by life? If we give up, what remains? Wonderful question. Let's see what's the answer. We shall understand this better when later on we come to the more philosophical portion of the Vedanta. But for the time being, at the present, he is saying, I beg to state that in Vedanta alone we find a rational solution of this problem. Here one can lay before us what the Vedanta seeks to teach, and that is the deification of the world. That is making God out of the world. The Vedanta does not in reality denounce the world. The ideal of renunciation nowhere attains such a height as in the teachings of the Vedanta. But at the same time, dry suicidal advice is not intended. It really means deification of the world, giving up the world as we think of it, as we know it, and as it appears to us, and to know what really is. If it is God alone. We read at the commencement of one of the oldest of the Upanishads, I quote, whatever exists in the universe is to be covered with the Lord, unquote. We have to cover everything with the Lord Himself, not by false sort of optimism, not by blinding our eyes to the evil, but by really seeing God in everything. Thus you have to give up the world, and when the world is given up, what remains? God. What is meant? You can have your wife. It does not mean that you are to abandon her, but that you are to see God in the wife. Give up your children. What does that mean? To turn them out of the doors, as some human brutes do in every country? Certainly not. That is diabolism. It is not religion. But see God in your children. So in everything. In life and in death, in happiness and misery, the Lord is equally present. The whole world is full of the Lord. Open your eyes and see Him. That is what Vedanta teaches. Give up the world which you have conjured, because your conjecture was based upon a very partial experience, upon very poor reasoning, upon your own weakness. Give it up. The world we have been thinking of so long, the world to which we have been clinging to so long, is a false world of our own creation. Give that old false creation. Open your eyes and see what that as much never existed. It was a dream, Maya. What existed was the Lord Himself. It is He who is in the child, in the wife, and in the husband. It is He who is in the good and in the bad. He is in sin and the sinner. He is in life and death. A tremendous assertion indeed. Yet, that is a theme which the Vedanta wants to demonstrate to us, teach and to preach. This is just the opening theme. Thus, we avoid the dangers of life and its evils. Do not desire anything. What makes us miserable? The cause of all miseries from which we suffer is desire. Wonderful. This is the issue we should understand in the present age. And if we can understand, then I think the most of the evils, most of the sufferings, most of the problems we are facing as mankind in this world, in the present age, will be totally nullified. Let's see what Swamiji is saying now. You desire something and the desire is not fulfilled. The result is distress. If there is no desire, there is no suffering. But here too, there is a danger of my being misunderstood. So it is necessary to explain what I mean by giving up desire and becoming free from all misery. The walls have no desire and they never suffer. True, but they never evolve. This chair has no desires, it never suffers. It is always chair and remains a chair. There is a glory in happiness, there is glory in suffering. If I may have to dare to say, there is a utility in evil too. The great lesson in misery we all know. There are hundreds of things we have done in our lives which we wished had never done, but which at the same time have been great teachers. As for me, Swamiji is saying, I am glad I have done something good and many things bad. Glad I have done something right and glad I have committed many errors, because every one of them has been a great lesson. I, as I am now, am the resultant. All I have done, all I have thought, every action, thought have had their effect. And these effects are the sum total of my progress. We all understand that desires are wrong. But what is meant by giving up desires? How could life go on? It would be the same sweet as old suicidal advice, killing the desire and the man too. The solution is this. Someone is giving the solution. Not that you should not have property, not that you should not have things which are necessary and things which are not even luxuries. Have all that you want and more, only know the truth and realize it. Wealth does not belong to anybody. Have no idea of proprietorships or possessorship. You are nobody, nor am I, nor anyone else. All belongs to the Lord. Because the opening verse told us, put the Lord in everything. God is in the wealth that you enjoy. He is in the desire that rises in your mind. He is in things you buy to satisfy your desire. He is in your beautiful attire, in your beautiful ornaments, in beautiful whatever you have. This is the line of thought. All will be metamorphosed as soon as you begin to see things in that light. If you put God in your every movement, in your conversation, in your form, in everything, the whole thing changes, and the world, instead of appearing as one of woe and misery, will become a heaven. That is the solution Swamiji is giving in this talk, God in everything. Swamiji mentioning about quotation from Jesus, I quote, the kingdom of heaven is within you, I unquote. So says the Vedanta and every great teacher, quote, he that hath eyes to see, let him see. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear, unquote. The Vedanta proves that the truth for which we have been searching all this time is present and also all the time with us. In our ignorance, we thought we had lost it and went out about the world crying and weeping, struggling to find this truth, while all along it was dwelling in our own hearts. There alone can we find it. If you understand the giving up of the world in its old crude sense, then you would come to this, that we must not work, that we must be idle, sitting like lumps of earth, neither thinking nor doing anything, but must become fatalists, driven about by every circumstance, ordered about by the laws of nature, drifting from place to place. That would be the result. But that is not what is meant. We must work. Someone is giving the solution for us. Ordinary mankind, driven everywhere by false desire, what do they know of work? The man propelled by his own feelings and his own senses, what does he know about work? He works, who is not propelled by his own desires, by any selfish whatsoever. He works, who has no ulterior motive in view. He works, who has nothing to gain from the work. Who enjoys this picture? The seller or the seer? The seller is busy with his accounts, computing what his gain will be, how much profit he will realize in the picture. His brain is full of that. He is looking at the hammer and not watching the bird beats. He is intent on hearing how fast the beats are rising. That means that man is enjoying the picture who has gone there without an intention of buying or selling. He looks at the picture and enjoys it. So this whole universe is a picture. And when these desires have vanished, men will enjoy the world, and then this buying and selling and those foolish ideas of possession will be ended. The moneylender gone, the buyer gone, the seller gone, this world remains a picture, a beautiful painting. I never read of any more beautiful conception of God than the following. He is quoting, I quote. He is the great poet, the ancient poet. The whole universe is his poem, coming in verses and rhymes and rhythms, written in infinite bliss, unquote. When you give up desires, then alone shall you be able to read and enjoy this universe of God. Then everything will become defied. Nooks and corners, bayous and shady places, which you thought dark and unholy, will be all defied. They will all reveal their true nature, and we shall smile at ourselves and think that all this weeping and crying has been but child's play, and we are only standing by watching. So do your work, says what Vedanta. It first advises us how to work by giving up the apparent elusive world. What is meant by that? Seeing God everywhere. Thus do your work. Desire to live 100 years. Have all earthly desires, if you wish. Only defy them. Convert them into heaven. Have the desire to live a long life of helplessness, of blissfulness and activity on this earth. Thus working, you will find the way out. There is no other way. If a man plunges headlong into foolish luxuries of the world without knowing the truth, he has missed his footing. He cannot reach the goal. And if a man curses the world, goes into forest, fortifies his flesh, and kills himself little by starvation, makes his heart a barren waste, kills out all feelings, and becomes harsh, stern, and dried up, that man has also missed the way. These are the two extremes, the two mistakes at either end. Both have lost the way, both have missed the goal. So, work, says Vedanta, putting God in everything and knowing Him to be in everything. Work insistently, holding life as something divine, as God Himself, and knowing that this all we have to do is all we should ask for. God is in everything. Where else shall we go to find Him? He is already in every work, in every thought, in every feeling. Thus knowing we must work. This is the only way. There is no other way. Thus the effects of work will not bind us. We have seen how false desires are the cause of all misery and evil we suffer. But when they are thus purified through God, they bring no evil, they bring no misery. Those who have not learned this secret will have to live in a demoniacal world until they discover it. Many do not know what an infinite mine of bliss is in them, around them, everywhere. They have not yet discovered it. What is a demoniacal world? The Vedanta says, ignorance. In this lecture of God in everything, Swamiji is giving wonderful examples, saying that we are dying of thirst sitting on the banks of the mightiest river. We are dying of hunger sitting near heaps of food. Here is the blissful universe, yet we do not find it. We are in it all the time, but we are always mistaking it. Religion proposes to find this out for us. The longing for this blissful universe is in all hearts. It has been the search of all nations. This is the one goal of religion, and this ideal is expressed in various languages in different religions. It is only the difference of language that makes all these apparent divergences. One expresses thought in one way, another little differently. Yet, perhaps, each is meaning exactly what the other is expressing in a different language. More questions arise in the connection with this. It's very easy to talk. From my childhood, Swamiji is saying, I have heard of seeing God everywhere and in everything, and then I can really enjoy the world. But as soon as I mix with the world and get a few blows from it, the idea vanishes. I am walking in the street thinking that God is in every man, and a strong man comes along, gives me a hard push, and I fell on the footpath. Then I rise up quickly with clenched fist. The blood has rushed to my head, and the reflection goes out. Immediately I have become mad. Everything is forgotten. Instead of encountering God, I see the devil. Ever since we have been born, we have been told to see God in all. Every religion teaches us that. See God in everything and everywhere. Do you not remember in the New Testament how Christ says so? We have all been taught that. But it is when we come to the practical side that the difficulty begins. You all remember how Aesop's fables, his fine stag is looking at his form reflected in a lake and saying to his young one, how powerful I am. I look at my splendid head, look at my limbs, how strong and muscular they are, and how swiftly I can run. In the meantime, he hears the barking of dogs in the distance and immediately takes to his heels. And after he has run several miles, he comes back panting. The young one says, you just told me how strong you were. How was it that when the dog barked, you ran away? Yes, my son, but when the dogs bark, all my confidence vanishes. Such is the case with us. We think of humanity. We feel ourselves strong and valiant. We make grand resolves. But when the dogs of trial and temptation bark, we are like the stag in the Aesop's fable. Then if such is the case, what is the use of teaching all these things? This is the greatest use. The use is this, that perseverance will finally conquer. Nothing can be done in a day. Swami is saying, I quote, this self is first to be heard, then to be thought upon, and then meditated upon, unquote. Everyone can see the sky. Even the very worm crawling upon the earth see the blue sky. But how very far away it is. So it is with our ideal. It is far away, no doubt. But at the same time, we know that we must have it. We must even have the highest ideal. Unfortunately, in this life, the vast majority of persons are groping through this dark life without any ideal at all. If I am sure, if a man with an ideal makes 1,000 mistakes, that the man without an ideal makes 50,000. Therefore, it is better to have an ideal, and this ideal we must hear about as much as we can, till it enters into our hearts, into our brains, into our very veins, until it tingles in every drop of our blood and permeates every pore of our body. We must meditate upon, somebody is saying, out of the fullness of the heart the mouth speaketh, unquote. And out of the fullness of the heart the hand works too. It is thought which is propelling force in us. Fill up the mind with the highest thoughts, hear them day after day, think them month after month. Never mind failures. They are quite natural. They are the beauty of life, these failures. What would life be without them? If it should not be worth having it if we are not for the struggles. Where would be the poetry of life? Never mind the struggles, the mistakes. I never heard a cow tell a lie, but it's only a cow, never a man. So, never mind these failures, these little backslidings. Hold the ideal 1,000 times, and if you fail 1,000 times, make the attempt once more. The ideal of man is to see God in everything. But if you cannot see Him in everything, see Him in one thing, in that thing which you like best, and then see Him in another. So on you can go. There is infinite life before the soul. Take your time and you will achieve your end. He is giving a very nice quotation, saying, quote, he, the one who vibrates more quickly than mind, who attains to more speed than mind can ever do, whom even the gods reach not, nor thought grasps, he moving, everything moves. In him all exist. He is moving. He is also immovable. He is near and he is far. He is inside everything. He is outside everything, interpreting everything. Whoever sees in everything that same Atman, and whoever sees everything in that Atman, he never goes far from that Atman. When all the life and the whole universe are seen in this Atman, then alone man has attained the secret. There is no more delusion for him. Where is any more misery for him who sees this oneness in the universe? Unquote. Wonderful paragraph Swamiji is giving in this talk, in God in everything. He is the solution for this problem, how to get through that. Swamiji is saying, this is another great theme of this Vedanta, this oneness of life, this oneness of everything. We shall see how it demonstrates that all our misery comes through ignorance, and this ignorance is the idea of manifoldness. This separation between man and man, between nation and nation, between earth and moon, between moon and sun, out of this idea of separation between atom and atom comes all misery. But the Vedanta says this separation does not exist. It is not real. It is merely apparent on the surface. In the heart of things there is unity still. If you go below the surface, you find that unity between man and man, between races and races, high and low, rich and poor, gods and men and animals and everything. If you go deep enough, all will be seen as only variations of the one. And he who has attained to this conception of oneness has no more delusion. Here briefly I can pinpoint a beautiful concept from our modern day physics. Everything goes down to the atom level. Apparently there may be different metals, different elements, different conception, but at the core of them is only same atom. Combination of all these proton, neutron, electrons give rise to an atom, and they create a different conception. But are they real? No. The reality is only the atom. So if you look from this aspect, it's very easy to understand what Swamiji is saying. Let's go back to what he's saying. What can delude him? He knows the reality of everything, the secret of everything. Where is there any more misery for him? What does he desire? He has traced the reality of everything to the Lord, the center, the unity of everything, and that is eternal existence, eternal knowledge, eternal bliss. Neither death nor disease, nor sorrow nor misery, nor discontent is there. All is perfect union and perfect bliss. For whom should he mourn then? In the reality, there is no death, there is no misery. In the reality, there is no one to mourn for, no one to be sorry for. He has penetrated everything, the pure one, the formless, the bodiless, the stainless. He is the knower, he is the great poet, the self-existent. He who is giving up to everyone what he deserves. They grope in darkness, worship this ignorant world. The world that is produced out of this ignorance, thinking of it as existence. And those who live their whole lives in this world and never find anything better or higher are groping in all greater darkness. But he who knows the secret of nature, seeing that which is beyond nature through the help of nature, he crosses death, and through the help of that which is beyond nature, he enjoys eternal bliss. I quote, "Thou sun, who hast covered the truth with thy golden disk, do thou remove the veil, so that I may see the truth that is within thee. I have known the truth that is within thee. I have known what is real meaning of the rays and thy glory, and I have seen that which shines in thee. The truth in thee I see, and that which is within thee is within me, and I am that." This is what Swami is saying, God in everything. Is really giving the solution for our so-called miserable day-to-day lives today we are facing in every country possible, in every society, in every strata of life. If we follow, adapt Swamiji's these solutions, I am 100% sure the world will come through. People will be very happy. It will be a place of joyfulness, perfect bliss, perfect happiness, what it is trying to achieve. Let's follow Swamiji in his toto and have a wonderful, beautiful, perfect, happy life. There's God in everything. Hari Om Tat Sat.